Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of AMP TV. I'm your host Kyle Martin, Operations Manager here at American Mobile Power. And with me today, I have our Production Manager, Matt Smock.
What's going on, guys?
Today, we're here to talk to you about supporting your hydraulic hoses in your setup application.
So the finer points of hydraulics, what you might not know. You could call it the ins and outs, the ups and downs of hydraulics.
That's exactly right.
All right, well, what's the first thing we're going to talk about today?
First thing we're going to talk about is your hose setup and supporting the hoses, specifically in the aluminum round tanks.
For those people that don't know, why is that important?
It's important because if you don't support the hoses in the proper manner, it could create a fatigue crack. Now the difference between a fatigue crack and a bad weld is the weld will crack right down the middle. A fatigue crack for improper mounting is going to be at the foot of the weld, and we're going to show you the difference in those today.
So to summarize that, if you don't support your hose, you're going to get cracked.
That's true.
All right, well, let's support some hose.
So Matt, before we get started, there's one very important rule before installing your tank.
Well, lay it on us.
It's important that all the plumbing and fitting connections attached to the tanks must be properly supported to the same moving plane as the tank in order to keep the plumbing and fittings from creating a metal fatigue crack fracture outside of the port weld.
Okay, wow. I'm going to stop you right there. That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
Can you summarize for those of us who don't speak hydraulic gibberish?
That's exactly what we're going to do today.
Let's get to it.
All right.
All right, so Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, we are staring at the beautiful smooth round lines of a 4500 2S90-STRF. So for those of us who are hydraulic noobs, why don't you walk us through what we got going on in this setup?
Basically what we're looking at here, Matt, is we're looking at your standard hydraulic setup for a 4500 or any aluminum cylinder tank. Basic setup is you come out of the tank with a street elbow to a nipple, ball valve, and then to your hose barb and your hose. What we typically see is folks will not tie the hose up to the frame. They'll tie it up underneath the trailer just so it doesn't drag the ground. But there's more to it than that. What you want to do is you want to support your hose directly to the frame right where the tank is mounted. What this does, it keeps the hose and the fittings from bouncing up and down as it travels down the highway.
Now when you read the instructions, we've got a real serious run-on sentence in here, and it talks about supporting the hose on the same plane as the tank. Expand on that a little bit.
Basically what that means is where you mount the tank to the same frame on the truck, that's where you want to support your hose. You want to come down and support it as close as possible to the tank on the same frame rail as the tank is mounted.
And so that keeps the weight off of the aluminum fitting and prevents that fatigue cracking you were talking about earlier.
That's absolutely correct. What you'll see is this makes it really rigid, and you will not get stress cracks and fatigue cracks along the foot of the weld.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds pretty simple.
It is. It's rather simple and very beneficial.
Okay, Kyle, we just covered our standard head port support system. Now let's talk a little bit about the rear facing port supports.
So the rear facing port tank is very common, and the reason for it is it saves space on the frame. But the principle stays true. You want to support the hoses as close to the tank as possible at all times. If not, you're going to end up getting a fatigue crack in the corners here because all this weight is going to pull down as it's bouncing up and down the road.
So even though the ports are in a different location, we're really trying to stay as true to the same principles of keeping that support on the same plane of movement as we were with our original support setup.
That's absolutely true. No matter what setup you have, whether it's rear forward facing, whether it's side facing, it doesn't matter. Steel, aluminum, you want to support the hoses as close to the tank as possible. It keeps the stress off the tank, off the metal, and off the welds.
So if you're not wanting a crack, support those back ports.
That's correct.
Now Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, some of the things we just covered, don't we offer some hose support kits for our customers?
We absolutely offer them, and we want people to use them for their benefit.
So what sizes do we offer these in?
We offer these in 1.5 inch, 1.25 inch, and 2 inch.
So we got the whole spectrum covered.
Absolutely.
So if you got hose support needs, we got your back. So that's a lot of information, Kyle. If they've got any more questions, how can they get a hold of us?
They can check out our website at www.AmericanMobilePower.com. You can also check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel.
And I'm betting they can probably find a lot more of this great hydraulic content on that YouTube channel.
That's absolutely true. We got a couple videos out now, and we got a lot more videos to come with some great information on hydraulic tanks.
So glad you guys joined us today, and we can't wait to see you next time.
Thanks for being a part of AMP.